Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Trouble, and today I'm going to be continuing my review of the One Punch Man manga series. Today we're going to be delving into the Hero Association saga, the first arc in the saga, which, if I remember correctly, is the Registration. National Heroes Registration. I think that's what it's called. But that's what we're going to be dealing in today. I'm just going to be a short video because it's only like what, if I remember correctly, we have heroes exam, sparring, and hobby, and then we don't have time to waste. And then it's like 4 chapters. This is 4 chapters, so like it's like the first arc in the story. It's in 4 chapters. It's a pretty good read, a pretty entertaining read, especially there at the end. We got a pretty neat exchange between Saitama and Sonic. But with that said, let's just give a quick recap of where we left off last time. So the last time we left off, we had the Paradise Islanders arc, and that was basically Hammerhead and a bunch of group of young men who didn't want to work, and it was like the government the government should give complete financial support to all those who want it, and let those who want to work, and that they got these power armors, and they were parading around, and they were going after this one dude that Sonic was working for, and Sonic came in, speed us on Sonic, kill him, just dispatch most of them. But seems like Hammerhead had a little brain in there, so he managed to survive, and Saitama and Sonic had a good exchange, and Saitama learned that he wasn't famous. This is the whole point of that arc, is Saitama learning that, oh, I'm not famous. I want to be famous, but no. And so this arc now, he learned about the Heroes Association. So this is him um, joining, registering for the Heroes Association. So that's where we left off last time. That's where we're picking up, and we jump right on into the next chapter. And it's gonna be a spoiler review, just for those of you who haven't read manga. But anyway, so we pick up immediately from where we left off. We see it's Saitama. Saitama is currently taking the registration, doing the exam to become a hero, and we see him doing the physical exam. And it's Saitama, so on the physical exam, he does he passes. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure he breaks every record, record. Yeah, and so he's just killing it. Sideways jump, lifting, deadlifting, I believe, and jumping, squat jumps, and he breaks all the records. He's doing amazing, and but and then we cut away from that, and we see him and Genos in the locker. Genos is like, you and me, it was pretty easy, all that was pretty easy. So you and me got like, we definitely got hundreds on both the written and the physical. And then we cut to 2 hours later, if I'm not mistaken. It's either an hour or 2 hours later. And we see that Saitama got 100 on the physical. Genos also got 100 in the physical, and he also gets 100 on the written. But Saitama fails. Saitama barely passed the written. And Genos obviously goes into like, I gotta go talk to whoever is in charge. Saitama says no, it would kill me because I'm dying of shame. So Saitama says no, and then they leave it at that. But then we see them in what we can assume is orientation, a hero's orientation. And there's this hero talking, they're talking to them. It's an A-class hero. It's an A-class hero, and he's there talking to them. And Saitama is just sitting there, laid back, like this, like he's like this. He's there like this, just chomping on. I'm sorry, there was feedback there, but just chomping on a gum, just chewing and blowing gum. And this dude is getting continuously irritated because Saitama isn't. He's not listening to him, because we see it like later. And he continues, and he tries to show off. He tries to be bragocious. I don't know if I use that word right. I think it's bragocious. Correct me if I'm wrong. He tries to brag. He tries to shows off to Saitama, and Saitama is there thinking about what he's gonna eat for dinner, which pisses him off even more because Saitama's not listening to him. And we see him and Genos walks home. Genos says, he's glad that, he's finally Saitama's disciple, like finally. because Saitama kind of blackmailed Genos. Is like, if you join the Heroes Association with me, I'll make you become my disciple for real. So there's that. So this is fully confirmed. I said earlier in one of my reviews that I think it was the Paradisers arc, or it was the House of Evolution, that, but this is where it's official that Genos finally becomes Saitama's official disciple. Um, but but then we cut back to the hero's exam, and then we see like an administrator there talking to the hero that was having the orientation with Saitama and Genos, because I think Saitama and Genos are the only ones that passed. They were the only two in the they were the only two in the room, in the orientation. And they're talking to he's talking to the snake dude. And this the administrator says to the snake dude that Saitama might even pass you, like he might surpass you, and he doesn't think as well. So he leaves. We see Saitama walking along the road. He's contemplating, like, what is he gonna do with Genos? Like he's not really a master. Is he really ready to become a disciple, master, teacher, or something like that? And this dude comes up and he tries to attack Saitama. He's like, I'm gonna rough you up, a newcomer. I'm here to rough you up a little bit. Saitama obviously one shots him. And then we go into the next chapter, which is sparring. And this is that famous battle in the manga, in the anime, with Genos spars with Saitama, and it's amazing. It's a really good fight. It opens up with Saitama, with Genos telling Saitama that they're officially heroes and they're officially on the hero website, and they're gonna get nicknames like Blonde Cyborg, and Saitama's, well, by that means then they're gonna call me Cape Baldy. But anyway, Genos, then they get into the sparring, and the sparring is intense, and this is like shot. It's like shot for shot. It's almost like an animation. You go back and you read the chapter, and it's almost like a animation. It's like what's it, frame by frame. You see Geno's arm transform, like he holds out his arms, and then you see transform. It starts to transform, and then and then a big blast goes, and you follow the blast, like you're following the blast as it goes to Saitama. Saitama steps to the side, and as Saitama steps to the side, Genos lunges at him and tackles him into the into the cliff. And then Genos, we just see them burst out of the dust cloud that that happened from Genos tackling Saitama into the cliff, and Genos is just wailing. He's just going and going, but he didn't realize that he's punching dust. Like it's air. Saitama's not there. He's like, where is he? And so Genos goes, he like uses cybernetic eye. He looks for Saitama. He finds Saitama, and then he sends out a big blast at Saitama. But Saitama is behind him. Saitama taps him on the cheek, and Genos comes over with this pretty amazing punch. I like the angling. I like everything about this punch. It was pretty amazing. I like it. But Genos then tells Saitama, because Saitama is not taking this seriously. Genos tells Saitama, take it seriously. And this is where we get the infamous death. And then Saitama runs off because he's hungry. And he'll leaving Genos stunned and probably with PTSD. If he could piss himself, I'm pretty sure he would. Uh, yeah, and that's sparring. That's how the second chapter in the registration arc ends. But the next chapter picks up is where everything gets fun. So we see Saitama in his room. Saitama is now reading manga. He's just lazing around reading manga. Um, but then Genos comes and Genos drops some money. Genos is like, "Hey, I want to move in with you, and I'll pay rent. I'll do whatever." And then but Genos is there. Genos is kind of probing Saitama. He's like just writing down everything that he did. But eventually they keep talking, and the conversation leads to, hey, you need to fulfill a quota, because Genos is in S class. Genos doesn't. I forgot to mention this. In the heroes exam, because Genos got 100 on both. He passed the physical exam. He did all that. Genos is an S class hero. He's the first S class hero in 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Saitama is a C class hero. So now Saitama has to fulfill a quota, right? Because there's a bunch of C class heroes, and so in order to keep track of them, you have to fulfill a quota. So Saitama hasn't been doing that because he's just been sitting at his house all weekend, all week, in the weekend, I'm pretty sure it's week. I don't remember. And reading manga, and he didn't see anything on the news. And so he's like, I gotta go out. I have to find something to do because I only have 2 days left, right? And Genos is like, let me go with you. Saitama is like, Saitama is still kind of thinking about like what he has to teach Genos as a teacher. And So Genos is like, I want to go with you. Saitama is like, no, no, and gives him something else to do. Tell Genos to mentally train. Like your training is mentally, like because you have a cyborg body, you can technically become as physically strong as you want. So maybe the training that you need to do is not a physical one, but a mental one. And Genos is like, okay, I'll do that. And Saitama runs off. He runs around for the entire day. He runs off to go try and find a criminal, a crime, or anything so he can fulfill his quota. So he runs around for the entire day and he doesn't find anything. And he's like, okay, I'll leave it up to tomorrow. And then we see him cut tomorrow again. We see him running around again, and he continues to run around looking for someone. And as he's running around, as he's running around, he runs into Sonic. And Sonic again got punched in the dick last time. Now he's back, and he wants to fight Saitama, but Saitama doesn't view Sonic as an enemy. He really does. He's like, I'm busy. I can't fight right now, and he walks away, which likely pisses Sonic off. Sonic is royally pissed off. Sonic goes in to attack him, and then you have this another iconic scene from One Punch Man, which is Saitama biting the blade and shattering. Um, and Sonic is obviously is like, what the? Sonic doesn't know what happened. Like Sonic really he didn't see what happened. Um, but Saitama tells Sonic like, yo, if you don't chill out, I'm going to punch you. Which it sends like chills down Sonic's spine. Like, if you don't stop, I'm going to punch you. But this continues in a little back and forth between Sonic, and then as this back and forth is going, another hero comes up, and his name is I think it's Tank Top Tiger, and Tank Top Tiger is like, hey, you've been running around town all day, all for 2 days now, scaring people. And Saitama thinks they're talking about Sonic, but no, they're talking about him. It's like the girl is like, he's the one who's been running around with a scared look on his face since yesterday. And Saitama was like, no, it's me. I'm a hero. I'm on your side. And this continues, and um, the very opportunistic. The Tank Top Tiger is a very opportunistic dude, and he thinks that Saitama could make him look good, because he's a low class C class hero, and he wants to look good, and so he starts talking to Saitama and telling Saitama to say, hey, what, why don't you make me look good? And right as he's talking, stroking his own ego, Sonic explodes shurikens, sends, I think it's like two exploding shurikens at him, and takes him out completely. And Sonic is kind of confused. He's like, yo, are you with these dudes? Like, you're one of these pansy ass heroes now. And Saitama is like, "What are you doing, Sonic? Why did you just do that?" And Sonic is like, "Listen, if you don't want to fight me, I'm going to make you fight me." And so Sonic starts attacking people, sends shurikens, and the shuriken starts hitting buildings, blowing up buildings, and it's causing all sorts of mayhem. It shows you like just how ridiculously terrifyingly strong Sonic is. He's a very powerful individual. I'd say at this point in the story, he's demon. Like he's a demon. I'd say, yeah, mid low to mid demon at this point in the story. um, because he's just decimating this place. Like he's just sending shurikens and decimating this place. Saitama doesn't really take him seriously. Saitama still hasn't noticed that he's a bad guy. And a exploding car comes flying at a kid. Saitama presses the tree down, and the tree stops the car. And then Saitama realizes that Sonic is a bad guy, and Sonic could fulfill his quota. He's like, I wonder if this would do. And Sonic knocks not Sonic. Saitama knocks Sonic out in one go. And there's actually a panel and where we see how Sonic was enjoying this. Saitama knocks him. It leaves like a face mask, a print. It prints out his face in the ground. Um, it reminds me of Garo when Orochi punched Garo in the Monster Association arc, and you see like Garo's smile in the ground. I wonder, yeah, it's pretty amazing. And that's it. That's the opening arc for the Heroes Association saga, and it's a pretty great arc. I love it. It's just pretty entertaining, especially at the end there with Sonic. Sonic is one of my favorite characters. It's always good seeing him. It's always entertaining when he's on screen, especially his interaction with Saitama. And I'm really curious. I really want to see at the end of this year how strong Sonic gets from this interaction that he's been having with Saitama, because like at this point, like Sonic is like in the story, the not this arc, 177. He's about like up there with the dragon. I'm pretty sure he's probably like the close, if not. Dude, he's. I would say that he's a dragon level threat at this point. Probably low dragon, but a dragon nonetheless. And yeah, I love it. Pretty entertaining, pretty fun read. Definitely great read as always. Entertaining, great art. All I'll check all the boxes, and I would have recommend you go read it. It's pretty entertaining, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. All right, thanks.